Welcome to this week's Fireside Chat with Jesse. I am joined today by Donna Yanuzzi, SVP, Director of Equipment Finance at First Equipment Finance. Thanks for joining me, Donna.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me among these 90, podcasts you have done. It's an honor to be part of the group. Thank you.
And you fell one short of 90, so I apologize for that. But, you always save
That's
the
okay.
89th, We'll have to make sure the 90th person doesn't quite hold up to your
90.
standards. The top 90. No, but I appreciate you taking the time, Donna, to spend some time with me today. For those people who might not be familiar with yourself, do you mind just kind of discussing your career to date in equipment finance?
Yeah, sure.
Well, actually, if you want to take a step back, I apologize. What you did just before equipment finance, because I found that interesting. When I was
my goodness.
Bio,
yeah.
And then maybe equipment finance.
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting story. I always call it like the Lucille Ball story. I actually started my career at TV Guide magazine. Most people, the young people do not know what that is. It is an actual magazine that was for television to choose your programming, and it actually laid over your couch armchair. So a lot of times maybe great grandparents might have had it. I started my career there, 14 years. I was there, and actually I had an opportunity to go to Philadelphia to continue on with TV Guide. But my husband's in broadcasting, and he was running a television station at the time, and I couldn't go. So I was out of a job. So I had to go hunt for a job. So I was the advocate in the office or at TV Guide. Anytime anyone came in to look at our office, I would tell them we all needed jobs, and to please hire us. And the one gentleman came in, Gary P. Cook, who he said, well, I don't need all of you, but give me your resume. I gave him my resume, and like a few months later, he was expanding and he needed a marketing person, and he called me. So, and it was equipment finance, and the word math came into play, and math was not my strong suit. So I did the courtesy of going on the interview, told my husband to wait outside in the car for 5 minutes. I'll be in and out. Well, it was an hour and a half later. I got in the car. I told him I took the job. And he laughed a lot first. And then he said, wow, okay, let's go. So I started there I was 25 years with Gary. He owned his own company, Bank Capital Services, which was a leasing company. And he was in banking many, many years before, and he decided that he would start his own company. So I was doing the marketing for him. I was helping the salespeople at that point. Some of the clients were saying, can you be my rep? And, then it evolved from there. I went through sales, then was the sales manager, and then director of sales. He sold the company in 2003 to a bank. And he said he would never get into banking again. And here he is back into banking again, which he was happy to do, because the situation was very, very well. The bank, it was Sun Bank, then Omega, and then it turned into FNB in 2008. We were taken over by FNB at the time. And then we grew that portfolio to his retirement was 2020. And about approaching $1 billion from basically very, very small portfolio. So it was a great run.
No, that's fantastic. And the funny part is, I was like, I don't want to do math. Like, why am I going to work in the finance industry?
Math. Yeah. I think my relatives, when they heard, and they said, well, what bank is it? We probably will not bank there because we're afraid our accounts might get so, but it's been such an amazing career. FNB was an amazing bank, and as you know, I retired from there in November, and it was just a great run.
Absolutely. So let's
background.
So let's talk First Equipment finance, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Because like you said, you retired, right? And I remember seeing your retirement, right. And then all of a sudden I didn't see your retirement, and I saw a different name, and I'm like, what happened?
Well, this industry gets in your blood. Let's put it that way. I was toying with, sometimes, when it's time to leave somewhere where things kind of just don't align up. And I was turning 62 and I thought, well, maybe it's time. It's time to say thank you for the great opportunity, and it was time to choose retirement at that point. I thought brush up on my golf game. I had my husband's been retired quite a while. So, I spent more time in Florida. My mom's 90. I could take care of her a little bit more. So, I gave them 2 months notice of my retirement. And through those 2 months, I started to get more sad as the days went on. And it was basically because I'm very involved in ELFA. I had a long client list of clients, and I was starting to realize I wouldn't be talking to these people, and I felt very, very sad about that. And and then I started to think, Jesse, we worked so hard and so long building hours and hours and hours. And we get to this point where we have a long client base. And I'm not saying it's easy, but we kind of know the formula that worked for us. And now we're exiting. And it's like, you get to that point, you work so hard to get there. Why would I leave? So I was toying with all of that. This opportunity happened. The gentleman I had worked for 23 years. He hated, obviously he didn't like retirement as well. His career was, and he started, First Equipment Finance in September. And at that point, then I guess it started to take off pretty well. And he realized he needed a manager, and knew I was retired and said, hey, what do you think? And and I owe my career to him basically. And I said, oh, okay. It's a smaller bank. It's kind of what we did and what we built, and we remember we made all the mistakes years ago, so we won't make the same ones again. We'll make new ones, but just maybe not the other ones. So yeah, so it's the team I've worked with for a long time, very seasoned team. And I said, okay. My husband maybe wasn't so happy, but
I was gonna say, I wish you could take me back to that conversation where it's like,
Yeah.
honey, how I said that was retirement. It's a 2-month sabbatical, by the way. I'm starting again.
Right. Well, he knew how much I lived and breathed this business. And he knew, himself what he did. We both kind of lived and breathed our careers. And he just knew. He said, you wouldn't be happy. But, I will probably say I won't be. It was running the commercial side of equipment finance for the bank. And I was also doing indirect, which was, so it was, now I'm doing indirect vendor. And we also take care of the commercial clients of the bank, but it's a much smaller bank, FNCB is. So much more hands-on, much more client base, much more, faster decisions. And, it's really, really it was a good thing.
It's good. Less bureaucracy. You can have more involvement. Not a lot of.
Right.
When I say that, it's loosely saying it, but it's not as much red tape, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you've got the regulators and all that. We know all about that. Nobody's getting around any of that. And we've been through that. The OCC and everything is beautiful. We get it. But it's they didn't have an equipment finance division, and we have a lot of history in it. And we actually, lasted in the industry on a high note. So
that's perfect. So as far as First Equipment Finance, like what segments are you going after? Obviously you're in Pennsylvania. What other states are you guys in? Are you geographically just on the East Coast, or are you nationwide?
Yeah, well, right now we're east of the Mississippi, basically, and like north of Virginia up into New England, at this point. So it's, and really what we're looking for is, typically what I grew up in: transportation, construction, manufacturing, material handling, And, I feel like in this industry, you really have to know the equipment that you're financing as well as the programs to offer. So, I knew a lot about trailers. I had a couple of mentors out there that, taught me about Wabash trailers, Dora plates and cross members, all that kind of stuff. So it was, it's best to know your equipment to better lend in it.
Absolutely, because then you know what the good parts are, the pain points, and everything else to your end customer.
What to run from.
How are you seeing, in the construction and material handling, like how some of this supply stuff affecting your customer base?
Well, as everybody is saying, yeah, the supply chain issues are there. I mean, I have a couple of construction vendors that, don't have equipment to sell. And, and the interesting part of it is they're asking to trade with each other. And, nobody's the hell no, we're not going to, trade with you. We need to, we're keeping our own
We need
stuff.
our own stuff.
Right, exactly. And we're also seeing salespeople. They're doing all they can to keep salespeople that are skilled at. They've trained them that knows the equipment, and they're moving into different industries because there's nothing to sell. So, or there's very limited to sell. The chip issue with the transportation. Prices increasing for our customers. There's just so many variables that, and being in the business a long time, you can, recommend like a track lease maybe. So, if the price of the truck is going up, we'll offset it by maybe just keeping that payment a little bit lower by doing a track lease. So, that kind of thing. And going back to, leaving the industry and retiring, you learned all that knowledge is in your head.
Yeah.
It's finally.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's been what, 13 years, since the last kind of
Right.
dip. And I say that like, hopefully we're not fully in a dip, but,
Right.
so a lot of these newer entrants to equipment finance haven't experienced any of this. All they've seen is sunshine and rainbows for the most part.
Right.
So it's
And
good
we've been
to
like
have.
25 plus years. I've been through the good times, the bad times. And quite frankly, in times like this, we always see opportunities. We have conversations about this all the time, and when Gary was our president, CEO, and now he's an EVP over here, we said it so many times that I don't remember us not meeting the goal, or, you just, navigated different areas. There's opportunities always in downtimes.
No, absolutely. Especially like I've only been a third, like I guess a service provider in my 17 years in equipment finance. And if anything, that's an opportunity for people to tighten up, be more efficient, actually invest intelligently. I guess fiscally, I guess I should say, in technology, because you have to run on leadership.
Yeah, absolutely. Us too.
So you hit on something earlier in regards to like the trade associations. And obviously you and I probably met at some point earlier in my career at an equipment ELFA
Right.
event. So, that trade association means a lot to me. The events I get to go to, the people that I've connected with over the years has definitely helped out my career. Like I was happy to be on like Ops and Tech Committee at one point, the Service Provider Council, and basically I'm like, Amy, whatever you need me for, just throw at me.
Right.
And you mind just kind of talking about your involvement in the ELFA and kind of what it's meant for your career?
Yeah, I mean, getting into this industry at 36, believe it or not, we were members, but we never really got involved in the beginning. But I'd say the last 15 years, I went to the first conference in San Diego, and I was blown away. I was absolutely blown away, and by the knowledge, and how it was, just what ELFA does, the leaders, and like Ralph Petta and the group, Lisa, they are just so dedicated. And these aren't just conferences. They truly want to give us topics to help us be better lenders. And once I felt that, I found anybody I could at ELFA and said, please, like you did, please get me involved in something. I really want to be part of it. And, I just really found it made me so much better in an industry. There was like all kind of little blocks that I couldn't piece together, but ELFA, the foundation, has all this research material. If you need legal, you go on and you find, any kind of legal information. It just is an organization that kind of blew me away, that better than any organization in my career, broadcast is, as well as the equipment finance. I just can't say enough of it. And then I moved over, into the foundation, I was approached to be a trustee. And that, and probably that's where my sadness came from as well, is because we would meet and we became a family. We really did. We helped each other, leaned on each other. I chair the academic outreach, and we do the scholarship program. And I'm at a point in my career, Jesse, where I want to give back. I really want to give back. This was a career, and we say it all the time. We fell into this. We didn't go to school and say, I'm going to go in equipment finance. We all fell into it. I fell in later than most people, but I really want to give back. And I have an intern right now from Bloomsburg University. And that's what my goal is, to try and get more young people excited about this industry. I mean, Cameron was with me 2 days. What do I study to get into this industry? Where I'm going back to school next year. What's the curriculum? I said, well, I'm working with colleges now, Penn State, as well as, they're getting more involved about, Bloomsburg itself is creating like a banking segment. So you can get more granular on different industries to go into versus, going into equipment finance, where you take finance and accounting. But
Nice.
it
Nice.
truly made me a better lender, way better lender, industry informed.
Yeah, I mean, I did my first guest lecture in February of this year at ASU with Jeff DeCassola, Mike O'Hearn, and Will Teft, and it was fun because it's like, I want to do that, but then again, you're a little nervous. But the way the slide deck is, and you tailor it to what you do, and especially Jeff and me, we're both on the business development side, but totally different personalities.
Yeah.
So him and I had a lot of fun, just the way that we were able to talk. But we probably had about 3 to 4 people from that presentation kind of reach out and say, hey,
they did.
Yeah, like if for internships. I mean, Bank of the West is big here, in Arizona, because they moved their operations to Tempe.
Oh, right.
Pac West is out. I mean, I think a lot of equipment finance companies come to Phoenix just because I think they want an excuse to golf year round. Who am I to judge, right?
Blame them. Can't blame them.
But
I need some help in that.
So the EFC event that we had this week in Minnesota, I actually took my son. Now he's only 13, but I wanted him to see. He's on summer break, so it's like. So I'm like, hey, why don't you come and see this? And he goes, we were flying back yesterday, and he goes, Dad, your job is really cool. You get to hang out with friends all the time and just go do different things and have a lot of fun. And I'm like, well, the fun's a byproduct of the work that you put in. But yeah, I mean, he goes, wait, so you get paid to network?
If it's all fun.
Like you went to a baseball game, you went to Top Golf, all these things. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's a byproduct of what this industry affords you to do, especially on the sales side.
Yeah, it does.
But then, so I know Nancy Robles she's on the trustee on the foundation. They do a lot of stuff with Berkeley College, and they get a lot of internships directly. They hire directly there. So
yeah, I'm so glad she's on the academic outreach with me. Yeah, I have a lot of good support on that, getting the word out about the scholarship program and that. So it's just amazing. And I'm glad I'm the chair of it. And it's kind of falls right in what my goals are at this stage of the game, is to grow an equipment finance division, but also give back.
Oh, that's perfect. And I was trying to find the article beforehand because you were the first, I want to say there's been 3 different editions of Top Women in Equipment Finance, but you were in the inaugural one that probably came out 2 years ago. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I also want to talk about like the leadership role for women in equipment finance. Obviously, you're one of the pioneers, you know, of that movement. Do you mind just kind of talking about that, Donna, and kind of what that designation meant to you a few years ago?
Yeah, you know, women that, you know, I mentioned that the first conference I went to was in San Diego, and it was very male dominated. I'm sure you hear that from a lot of us. But to me, maybe because I'm older, you know, I can, you know, adjust both ways. That I think the generation now is not as, and I don't want to say flexible, but it's I understand the progression. It's going to happen, and it has, from where I was to where it is now. It has, and I can, because I've been in the industry. There's a big difference. You know, now going to ELFA, there's a lot of females in the industry. But I do have to say, what helped me is, you know, was my mentor. It was Gary when he originally hired me. He never was one to be concerned with being a female. He was concerned with people's ideas. He was concerned with people's passion, drive, dedication. And he was never of, you know, whether you're a female or, you know, your ethnic background. That never came into play. So I was kind of like shocked when this whole, you know, female thing, because I didn't have that. And he saw in me, and he kind of took me under his wing, and he groomed me, and he took me to all different meetings. And even at some point, I think, well, in the beginning, it was like, well, you know, why is Donna here? The kind of thing. And he said, because I'm grooming her and she has a lot of talent, you know. So at that point, you know, he would take me, and he kind of paved the way, and, you know, I'd follow behind him till, you know, at that point, you know, I was, I guess, respected then in the industry. Yeah, she does know something. There was, you know, in the board meetings that I would go to, you know, they're pretty much male dominating. So one thing I always tell, and I'm a mentor for, you know, the Women's Council has the mentor program for ELFA. And I always tell the 2 girls I had, you always have to, I always felt like I had to over prepare. You know, I couldn't just come in. A lot of them, you know, the male, and it was, you know, I was the only female, but I always felt like I had, you know, piles of information just in case they asked me that question, because I never wanted to say I didn't know, or I can get back to you. So you know, I looked around, I'm the only one with a pile of papers and that, and, you know, but it was, to me, it seemed like it was okay for somebody to say, let me get back to you on that. I don't really know, you know, in the male situation, but I never took that as anything but growing my career.
That's an interesting point, because I've had some people on here and they're like, look, if a guy doesn't know the answer, he's going to make something up. If a female doesn't know the answer, they're going to tell you, I don't know, let me get back to you. And I never really thought about that too much, but it's interesting.
Yeah, well, I went to one point, I think I mentioned this to you before, is I went to one meeting because they had that 60-minute segment of Christine Lagarde, you know, the president of European Central Bank. She was on, and she said she will not conduct a meeting unless there's another woman in the room. She will cancel the meeting. So yeah, one of my meetings, I brought a picture of Christine Lagarde with me and put it at my place setting. And they said, oh, what's Christine Lagarde doing here? I said, well, she's my other woman, so we don't have to cancel the meeting.
That's great.
And they laughed, you know, and then they, you know, I was never one to say, to, you know, to hold that flag up, you know. I just felt, you know, that I had to earn my way, and, you know, I stood up for what I knew. And, you know, I really never had an issue, you know, with any of that, or thought maybe there was, but I never really was that concerned about it.
Well, kudos to Gary for being more on the progressive side of things too, and saying that.
Yeah. Yeah, I started with him in 1997. So, you know,
It's perfect. And then also when I was reading through some of your bio stuff that you had sent over, you had a quote about servant leadership. So obviously that's something I'm very passionate about, trying to see how I can become a better, leader for my organization and just be a better leader all around to my family. Do you mind just kind of talking about servant leadership, Donna, and kind of what that means to you?
Well, to me, and I'm glad I found, kind of the wording. I never knew how to put it, but servant leadership, when I saw that word, I'm like, that's the word. You want to kind of, I manage by being an equal. I get in the trenches with the group. I don't pull rank or my title on anybody. We're all in it together. We grew up something together. And I'll be there to navigate any problems that happen and solve them for you. But I'm right there with you. And my salespeople, I always kept a vendor myself. So I knew what they were up against all the time. And I knew to better manage my programs because I was feeling what they were feeling. And it just, I don't know how to manage any other way. I never wanted to manage or anybody to work under fear. Fear to me was distracting. I did not get the best out of people. I felt you weren't, because I worked under a very short period for someone like that. And you never got the best because half your brain was worried about you're afraid and the other half was on your job and you weren't getting the full person. So I always want to get the full person and embrace them and, and help them along in their career.
Oh, and that's fantastic. And it's, I've been more on the technology side my entire career. So, I'll take JDR, for instance, right? I manage a team of like 6 people. I don't know how to work in some of these systems like my team does, but it's, I love the old adage, I'm never going to ask you to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. However, if I don't understand what you're doing, like if I see my team on like Teams past 7 or 8 o'clock, and if I'm online, I'm like, what are you doing? I'll sit there and maybe have a glass of wine while they're doing it just to keep them company. Because yeah. I can't do what they're doing. But it's like, hey, or show them the appreciation for doing that. Or it's like, you know what? I better not see you logged in tomorrow until the afternoon. Take some time to yourself.
Yeah. And just care about people. I truly care about their families, their people, keeping this company going. So, because we're employing a good bit of people and their families, yeah. And that's my responsibility is to bring the business in, make sure all that continues.
Nope, absolutely. So the last question I ask everyone who comes on here. Sorry, almost forgot the best part about this.
What's my favorite one?
Oh yeah, no. Give me a little fun fact about yourself, Donna. Something that makes you tick that people in equipment finance might not know.
A fun fact. Well, I'll tell you what I did when I put something together for one of my presentations at Penn State. I put I pretty much I watch Bloomberg television a lot. I watch CNBC a lot, but I'll also watch Hallmark a lot. So I'm like on different spectrums. So that's pretty much, you watch Hallmark and then you switch to the financial channel and that. So if that's maybe a fun fact, I thought it was kind of humorous at that point. And I also like to hire people smarter than me. That's a fun fact too.
So what's the best Hallmark movie you've seen recently?
There was one last evening, the one this was from France. I don't remember the name of it, but I caught it was on Saturday night. I missed it. So it was on last night on the repeat. So
I can 100% say that is not it's probably a channel that I avoid. Just
right. I don't even have it on your streaming. Yeah, it's not even there.
No, but Doug talks about it. He says that what are you doing? He goes, Neva has on the Hallmark channel. I'm like, you're a good husband.
Like, right. Yeah, my husband leaves the room. Oh, like, not that again. Right. They all end the same, he tells me. They all end the same.
There's never a bad ending. There's something bad that just happens. Maybe it is Oh, okay. And kind of in closing here, Donna, first of all, appreciate your time today. Why do
Thank you.
business with First Equipment Finance?
Well, I think I mentioned it before. The team is pretty seasoned, and this point we've made, I don't want to say all the mistakes through our career, but we kind of put together a really nice program where, and we truly want to help our clients get the equipment they need, help like suggesting the track lease when price of equipment is skyrocketing. And I always say, make sure you answer your phone. To my sales team, I said, please answer your phone. Nobody likes anything that they're calling you for a reason and you don't pick up the phone. The other thing in our office here, we do not go through an automated phone system. When our phone rings here in the office, somebody picks it up. And we really truly care about, the client base and building it. And, I want to continue the reputation I built for 25 years. When I do decide to retire, I wanted to, stay this way. So,
Oh, makes perfect sense. And once again, Donna, I really appreciate our time. I guess this morning, this afternoon, your time. And,
Right.
I think our paths will probably cross when? In October? Oh, actually, maybe I'll see you in September for the EFC
Right.
event up there.
Yeah, I'll be down there. Yeah, Plymouth meeting, certainly can attend that. And thank you, for, it's truly, it's truly coming out of retirement has been, a great experience. But, I've had such an amazing career and I do really appreciate, all the years I had at FNB. Thank you, for, allowing me to tell my story and talk about First Equipment Finance, FNCB Bank. Thank you.
No problem, Donna. We'll talk to you
The
soon.
foundation. Check
Oh
out the
yeah,
foundation.
make sure you make your foundation donation. Otherwise,
Donation.
Donna will come calling.
You will be
Um,
seeing me.
Yep.
Right.
Not only does it go to good research and everything else, but you also avoid Donna calling you.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And guest lectures, anybody can reach out to me at any time, and I can assist with any guest lectures so. Thank you so much.
No problem, Donna. I'll talk to you soon. You have a great day.
Okay. All
Take
right.
care.
Thank you.
Bye.